The arrival. In a distant corner of the galaxy, a bright blue planet called Archon 7 spun slowly. This planet was known as a Deathworld. It was filled with dangerous creatures and treacherous landscapes. Many explorers who dared to set foot there never returned. Despite this, the Galactic Federation had sent a squad of alien Marines to capture a human warrior who had become a legend on this world. His name was Alex, and stories of his strength and survival had spread across the stars. The squad of alien Marines, known as the Venar, landed their sleek starship on a rocky plateau overlooking a vast valley. The valley was filled with thick, misty forests and strange, glowing plants. The leader of the squad, Commander Thrax, stepped out first, his tall, muscular figure casting a long shadow in the soft light of the twin suns. Thrax was confident. He believed the Marines were well prepared for anything they might face on this dangerous planet. "Listen up, team," he barked, gathering his squad around him. "We're here to capture this Deathworlder. He's supposed to be a tough fighter, but we are stronger and smarter. Remember, we have the advantage of technology and teamwork." The Marines nodded, their faces determined. They were armed with advanced weapons and protective armor, designed to handle the most challenging environments. Yet there was a hint of unease among them. Many had heard tales of Alex and his incredible feats. Some even whispered that he could fight off a dozen opponents at once, but Commander Thrax brushed those doubts aside. "Stay focused. We will find him and show him the power of the Venar." Thrax shouted, igniting a spark of excitement in the Marines. They moved as one unit, descending the rocky path into the misty valley below. As they moved deeper into the forest, the sounds of the Deathworld surrounded them. Strange creatures rustled in the underbrush, and the air was thick with humidity. The Marines stayed alert, scanning their surroundings. They had trained for this mission, but nothing could truly prepare them for the unpredictability of a Deathworld. After hours of searching, the Marines came across a clearing. In the center stood a massive tree, its trunk thick and gnarled. The tree was covered in strange, glowing vines that pulsed with an eerie light. As the Marines approached, they noticed signs of a struggle on the ground, a broken branch, and deep footprints leading away from the clearing. "Look," one Marine named Tira pointed, her voice barely a whisper. "He was here. He must have fought something." The Marines exchanged glances, a mixture of fear and excitement rippling through the group. They followed the tracks, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The deeper they ventured into the woods, the more they felt the weight of the planet's dangers around them. Suddenly, the air shifted. The temperature dropped, and a low growl echoed from the shadows. The Marines paused, instinctively tightening their grips on their weapons. From the trees, a large creature emerged, its eyes glowing and sharp teeth glistening. It was a massive, four-legged beast, covered in thick scales. "Prepare for combat," Thrax shouted, raising his weapon. The Marines quickly formed a circle, their eyes locked on the approaching creature. But before they could react, a figure darted from the side, moving with incredible speed. It was Alex, the Deathworlder they had come to find. His rugged frame was covered in scars, each one telling a story of survival and struggle. He moved gracefully, his remaining limb swinging a sharp blade as he engaged the beast head-on. The alien Marines were stunned. They had expected to find a frail human, perhaps even a coward hiding in the woods. But Alex was anything but weak. He fought with a fierce determination, dodging the creature's attacks and striking back with precision. The Marines watched in awe as he outmaneuvered the beast, his movements almost dance-like. "Who is this guy?" Tira murmured, her eyes wide with disbelief. "He's stronger than we thought," one of the Marines replied, his voice shaky. "We need to support him." But before they could make a decision, the battle escalated. Alex lunged at the beast, slicing through its hide with his blade. The creature roared in pain, swiping at him with its powerful claws. Alex barely avoided the attack, rolling away and quickly getting back on his feet. "Should we help him?" Tira asked, glancing at Thrax. "No," Thrax replied, his eyes fixed on the fight. "Let's see what he can do. We need to understand our enemy." The Marines stood in disbelief as Alex continued to fight, his focus unwavering. He was not just a survivor, he was a warrior. His spirit shone through every movement, igniting a sense of respect in the hearts of the alien Marines. As the fight raged on, Alex managed to gain the upper hand. With a powerful strike, he brought the beast to the ground. The creature let out a final roar before falling silent. Alex stood over it, breathing heavily, his body covered in sweat and dirt. He had won, but he was not finished yet. The Marines exchanged glances, realizing they had underestimated him. They had come expecting to capture a weak human, but they were witnessing something incredible. The tale of the Deathworlder was more than just stories, it was reality. In that moment, as they watched Alex recover from the battle, the Marines understood that they were in the presence of something truly remarkable. The confidence they had felt earlier began to fade. They were not just facing a man, they were facing a force of nature. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows across the valley, the alien Marines prepared for what lay ahead. They were no longer just hunters. They were about to confront a legend. The first encounter. As the last rays of sunlight faded, the alien sky of Archon 7 shimmered with stars. The alien Marines, still reeling from the display of strength they had just witnessed, remained hidden among the trees. Alex, the Deathworlder, stood victorious over the defeated beast, catching his breath. He had no idea he was being watched. "Commander, we should approach him now," Tira suggested, her curiosity overwhelming her caution. "He's injured and might need help." Thrax shook his head. "No, we don't know what he might do. He's unpredictable. Let's observe him a little longer." The squad settled in, taking cover among the thick underbrush. They watched as Alex sheathed his blade and examined the fallen creature. He seemed to be assessing the situation, calculating his next move. A few moments later, he knelt beside the beast, looking at its wounds with a serious expression. The Marines couldn't help but admire his determination. After a few minutes, Alex finally stood up and took a deep breath. He looked around, sensing something was off. The air felt charged, and he knew he was not alone. With instinct honed by countless battles, he turned to face the direction of the alien Marines. Thrax motioned for his squad to be quiet, but it was too late. Alex had spotted them. His eyes narrowed, and he readied himself for another fight. "Show yourself," he shouted, his voice strong and clear. "I know you're out there." Realizing they had been discovered, Thrax stepped forward, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "We are not here to fight. We want to talk." Alex remained cautious, his body tense. "Talk? Why should I trust you?" Thrax took a deep breath, trying to maintain a calm demeanor. "We are the Venar Marines. We've heard of your strength and bravery. We want to understand what makes you fight so fiercely. You're not like other humans we've encountered." Curiosity flickered in Alex's eyes. "What do you want with me?" "We were sent to capture you," Thrax admitted, "but now we see you're more than just a target. You're a warrior." Alex relaxed slightly, lowering his weapon but still keeping a close watch on the Marines. "I won't let you take me without a fight. You have no idea what you're dealing with." Tira couldn't help but admire Alex's confidence. "We don't want to fight," she said, stepping beside Thrax. "We want to learn. The stories about you are incredible. We thought humans were weak, but you have proven otherwise." Alex studied her for a moment. "So, you came to see if the stories were true?" "Yes," Thrax said. "We underestimated you, and we realize that now. You fought that creature without hesitation. It was impressive." A flicker of pride crossed Alex's face, but he quickly masked it. "I've had to fight to survive on this planet. It's a dangerous place, and I'm not afraid to protect myself." Thrax nodded. We understand that. But you should know that not all of us see humans as weak. Some of us are starting to see your strength and resilience. We could even learn from you. The tension in the air shifted as Alex considered their words. He had never expected to have a conversation like this with alien soldiers. What do you want to learn? He asked, curiosity creeping into his tone. Thrax stepped forward. We want to know how you endure. How do you keep fighting against impossible odds? Alex paused, reflecting on the question. It's simple, he replied. You fight for what you believe in. You fight for survival. On this planet, every day is a battle, and giving up is not an option. The Marines listened intently, their expressions revealing their fascination. Alex's passion and spirit were undeniable, and they began to see him not as an enemy, but as a fellow warrior. We've faced many enemies, Thrax said, but we've never encountered anyone like you. You've made us rethink our approach to this mission. Terra added, what if we could work together? We could teach each other. You can show us how to survive in this death world, and we can offer you protection and technology. Alex raised an eyebrow, intrigued. You think you can protect me? This planet is full of dangers you've never faced. Just because you have advanced weapons doesn't mean you can survive here. We can try, Thrax said, a glimmer of determination in his eyes. But we need your help to understand this world. Together, we might be stronger than we are apart. For the first time, Alex felt a sense of possibility. Maybe these Marines weren't just here to capture him. Perhaps they could become allies. But he still had reservations. How can I trust you? You'll have to take a chance, Thrax replied, just as we are taking a chance by approaching you. Alex considered the proposition carefully. He knew the dangers of trusting others, especially those from the stars who had viewed his kind as mere prey. But the idea of having allies intrigued him. He had fought alone for too long. Fine, Alex said slowly, but this is on my terms. I will not be your prisoner. If we work together, I expect respect. I won't hold back against any threats. Thrax smiled, relieved. That's all we ask. We can learn from each other, and together, we might just survive this death world. With a tentative alliance formed, the tension between them began to ease. The alien Marines and Alex found themselves united by a common goal, to survive and understand the dangers that lay ahead. As they shared stories and knowledge, the night sky above them sparkled with stars, and the battles of tomorrow loomed in the distance. Together, they would face whatever came their way. Little did they know that their first encounter would lead them down a path that would change their lives forever. Alex took a moment to think. I was just an ordinary person, living on Earth. I never thought I'd end up here, fighting for my life every day. But this place has changed me. It taught me to be strong, to rely on myself. The Marines listened intently, drawn into his story. They were beginning to see him not just as a warrior, but as someone with depth and experience. As the night wore on, they took turns keeping watch. Terra and Alex exchanged stories about their worlds, finding common ground despite their vast differences. Your planet sounds beautiful, Alex said, smiling. I've only seen glimpses of it in movies. I can't imagine living somewhere without constant danger. It has its dangers too, Terra replied. But nothing like this. I think we've all learned something valuable today. As they settled in for the night, Alex felt a sense of camaraderie forming. The Marines were beginning to see the truth. Humans were not weak or inferior. They were resilient, adaptable, and capable of incredible feats. As the stars twinkled above them, the first real connection between a human and an alien squad was formed. Little did they know, the challenges ahead would test their alliance and force them to rely on each other like never before. Bonds forged in battle. As dawn broke over Arkan 7, a soft light filtered through the trees, casting a golden hue on the forest floor. The early morning air was fresh, filled with the scents of damp earth and blooming flowers. Alex awoke to the sounds of rustling leaves and the distant calls of alien creatures. He stretched and took a moment to gather his thoughts. Today would be a significant day, filled with challenges and opportunities. The alien Marines were already awake, moving quietly as they prepared breakfast. Thrax approached Alex, a look of determination on his face. "We need to test our skills today. We can't just sit around. We must see how well we can work together." Alex nodded, understanding the necessity. "Agreed. I can show you how to navigate the terrain and deal with the threats we face here, but it won't be easy. You need to be ready for anything." The Marines gathered around, anticipation sparking in their eyes. Tara stepped forward, eager and excited. "What do you have in mind?" "I'll set up a series of challenges," Alex explained. "Each one will test your skills: combat, survival, and teamwork. We'll see how well we can function as a unit." As the squad prepared for the day ahead, Alex laid out the first challenge: a simple obstacle course made from fallen logs, vines, and rocks. Your first task is to navigate this course without making noise. If you alert the creatures nearby, we could be in serious trouble. The Marines exchanged glances, their confidence momentarily wavering. But Thrax rallied them. "We can do this. Let's show him what we're made of." One by one, the Marines took turns, trying to complete the course. They moved carefully, stepping over logs and ducking under vines, but it was clear that they were not used to this type of environment. Tara stumbled on a vine, losing her balance and crashing to the ground. "Stay focused," Alex called out, rushing to help her up. "Every sound matters in this world. You have to be aware of your surroundings." Tara nodded, brushing herself off. "I get it. This place is nothing like home." After several attempts, the Marines slowly began to improve. They started to move more quietly, adjusting their strategies based on Alex's feedback. By the end of the exercise, they were exhausted but more in tune with the challenges of their surroundings. "That was harder than I expected," Thrax admitted, wiping the sweat from his brow. "But I see what you mean about being cautious." Alex smiled, pleased with their progress. "Now let's move on to the next challenge." The second challenge was a test of teamwork. Alex led them to a small stream. "You need to cross this without getting wet. Use the materials around you: logs, rocks, anything you can find. Work together to create a bridge." The Marines immediately got to work. They gathered materials and started constructing their makeshift bridge, communicating and strategizing. Alex watched, impressed by their determination. As they built, Tara turned to Alex, her face serious. "Why do you fight so hard to survive here? It must be exhausting." Alex paused, contemplating her question. "Survival is instinctive. On Earth, I had a life, but I've lost everything. Here, I fight not just for myself, but for the memory of those I've lost. It's about honor and determination." The Marines nodded, understanding the weight of his words. They finished their bridge, carefully testing it before crossing. The teamwork displayed was admirable, and they cheered as they successfully made it across without getting wet. "Good job," Alex exclaimed, genuinely impressed. "You're beginning to understand the importance of working together." With their spirits high, they moved on to the final challenge, a simulated combat scenario. Alex led them to a clearing where they would face a holographic projection of various creatures native to Archon 7. "Your goal is to defend this area for 10 minutes against these creatures," Alex instructed. "Use what you've learned. Work together, and remember, no one gets left behind." As the simulation began, the holographic creatures erupted from the surrounding trees, snarling and lunging toward the squad. The Marines quickly fell into formation, covering each other's backs. Tara took the lead, using her weapon to fire at a charging beast, while Thrax provided support from the rear. "Watch your flanks," Alex shouted, moving alongside them, demonstrating how to maintain a strong defensive line. The Marines adapted quickly, learning from each encounter. They shouted commands, communicated their positions, and worked seamlessly together. As the minutes ticked by, the squad faced wave after wave of the simulated creatures. They dodged, rolled, and shot with precision, their movements becoming more fluid as they learned to trust one another. Finally, as the last creature fell, the simulation ended. The clearing was filled with the sound of heavy breathing and laughter. The Marines were exhausted but exhilarated. That was incredible, Tira exclaimed, her eyes shining with excitement. I can't believe how well we worked together. Alex grinned, pride swelling in his chest. You've all improved significantly, but remember, this is just the beginning. You'll need to keep honing your skills if we're going to survive together. As they gathered their gear and prepared to move forward, a sense of camaraderie enveloped the group. They were no longer just an alien squad and a lone Deathworlder. They had formed a bond through trials, learning from one another and growing stronger together. As they set out deeper into the wilds of Archon 7, Alex felt hopeful. Perhaps together, they could overcome the challenges that awaited them. The day had forged more than just skills. It had created a trust that would be vital for their survival in this unforgiving world. Little did they know that their biggest challenge was yet to come. The shadow of danger. The sun hung high in the sky, illuminating the dense foliage of Archon 7, as Alex and the alien Marines pressed deeper into the heart of the forest. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. They had trained hard and forged a bond that felt unbreakable. But the dangers of this death world lurked around every corner, and Alex remained acutely aware of that fact. Stay vigilant, he reminded them, glancing back at the group. We may encounter predators at any moment. The Marines nodded, their faces serious. They had witnessed the wild, unpredictable nature of the planet firsthand during their training. The camaraderie they had built gave them confidence, but the threat of danger loomed over them like a dark cloud. As they trekked through the underbrush, Alex's instincts kicked in. He noticed faint claw marks on the trees, remnants of recent activity. We're getting close to a predator's territory, he said, lowering his voice. Move quietly. The squad fell silent, their eyes scanning the environment for any signs of movement. The tension was palpable, and they could feel the weight of the forest pressing in on them. Suddenly, a rustling sound erupted nearby, causing everyone to freeze. Alex held up his hand, signaling them to stop. Get ready. It could be anything. Out of the bushes, a massive creature lunged at them, its powerful jaws snapping dangerously close. It was a native predator, resembling a combination of a wolf and a bear, with dark fur and sharp claws. The squad instinctively raised their weapons, but Alex stepped forward again. Wait, he shouted, trying to keep the situation from escalating. Don't fire. It's just as scared as we are. The creature hesitated, its eyes darting between Alex and the Marines. It growled lowly, sizing them up, ready to pounce if provoked. Alex took a slow step forward, lowering his weapon. I'm not here to hurt you. We just want to pass through. For a heartbeat, everything hung in balance. The tension in the air felt electric. The creature's growl softened as it studied Alex, its instincts battling with its curiosity. Alex's heart raced, but he maintained his calm demeanor, hoping to defuse the situation. In a surprising turn, the creature relaxed slightly, lowering its head. Alex seized the moment, slowly extending his hand. See, we mean no harm. The Marines watched, astonished. They had never seen anything like this before. Tira whispered to Thrax, is he really going to do this? Just then, Alex knelt down, offering his palm to the creature. To everyone's amazement, it sniffed his hand cautiously before retreating a few steps. With one final look, the predator turned and disappeared back into the foliage, leaving the squad breathless. That was incredible, Tira said, her voice filled with awe. How did you know it would react that way? It's about understanding animal behavior, Alex replied, standing up. Respect goes a long way in this world. Many creatures aren't just mindless beasts. They can sense intentions. Let's hope all encounters are that peaceful, Thrax said, his heart still racing. As they continued their journey, they discussed Alex's approach to wildlife. The Marines were beginning to appreciate his unique perspective, realizing that his survival skills were not just brute strength, but also a deep understanding of the world around him. Hours later, the group reached a cliff that overlooked a breathtaking valley. The sight was mesmerizing. The lush greenery stretched as far as the eye could see, dotted with vibrant flowers and waterfalls cascading down rocky cliffs. But the beauty was not lost on Alex. He felt a sense of foreboding. "This is stunning," Tira said, her eyes wide with wonder. "What's the plan now?" Alex took a moment to gather his thoughts. "We need to cross the valley, but it's known to be home to some of the more dangerous predators. We should take the high ground to avoid them." The Marines agreed, their minds focused on the task ahead. They started their descent, carefully navigating the steep incline. As they reached the bottom, a sudden roar echoed through the valley, shaking the ground beneath them. "What was that?" one of the Marines exclaimed, eyes wide with fear. "That sounded like a rackar," Alex replied, his tone grave. "We need to move. Now." They quickened their pace, climbing higher and seeking cover among the rocky outcrops. The rackar was one of the most feared predators on Arkan 7, known for its size and ferocity. The squad hurriedly found a rocky alcove to hide in as the sound of heavy footsteps approached. Alex peered around the corner, his heart pounding. The rackar emerged into view, a massive creature with scales like armor and eyes that glowed menacingly. It sniffed the air, searching for its next meal. The squad held their breath, hearts racing, praying they wouldn't be detected. "Stay quiet," Alex whispered, urging the Marines to remain still. The rackar prowled closer, its eyes scanning the area. Tira, trembling with fear, squeezed her weapon tightly. Alex glanced at her and nodded, encouraging her to remain calm. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed from a nearby tree. The rackar whipped its head around, focusing its attention on the sound. It charged in that direction, giving the squad a moment of reprieve. "Now's our chance," Alex urged. "Follow me." They slipped out of their hiding spot, moving quickly and quietly. As they navigated the rocks, they heard the rackar roaring in frustration, still searching for the source of the noise. The group pressed on, their adrenaline pumping. After what felt like an eternity, they reached the other side of the valley, breathless but relieved. The thrill of survival surged through them as they caught their breath. "That was close," Thrax said, a shaky laugh escaping him. "I thought we were done for." Alex turned to the squad, his expression serious. "That was just a glimpse of what's out there. We can't afford to let our guard down. The next encounter may not be so forgiving." As they regrouped and shared nervous laughter, Alex felt a sense of purpose. They were no longer just a squad of Marines. They were a team, united in their determination to face the dangers of Arkan 7 together. The day had strengthened their bond, but Alex knew the trials ahead would test them in ways they couldn't yet imagine. Little did they know, their greatest challenge was looming on the horizon, waiting to push their newfound friendship to its limits. The unseen enemy. As the sun began to set over the horizon of Arkan 7, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Alex and the alien Marines found a suitable location to set up camp. The dense forest surrounded them, a reminder of the dangers they had just escaped. Tired but exhilarated, they unpacked their gear and prepared for the night ahead. "Good job today, everyone," Alex said, his voice steady. "We faced a lot, but we made it through together. Let's set up a watch schedule so we can keep an eye out for any predators." The Marines nodded, and as they settled in, a sense of camaraderie enveloped the group. The shared experiences had transformed them. They were no longer just soldiers but friends fighting for survival. Tira busied herself with the campfire, while Thrax and the others took turns patrolling the perimeter. As night fell, the sounds of the forest changed. The chirping of crickets and the rustling of leaves created an eerie symphony, reminding them that they were not alone in this wild place. Alex sat close to the fire, lost in thought, contemplating what lay ahead. "Do you think we'll encounter more predators tomorrow?" Tira asked, breaking the silence. "Probably," Alex replied, glancing up at her. "Archon 7 is full of them. But we've learned a lot today. We need to trust our instincts and each other." "Right," Thrax chimed in. "If we can face down a Racker, we can handle anything." As the fire crackled, a sense of safety washed over them. But Alex remained vigilant, aware that the forest was filled with unseen dangers. He had learned long ago that true threats often lurked in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. In the early hours of the morning, the atmosphere shifted. A chill settled over the camp, and the air felt heavy with an unexplainable tension. Alex awoke suddenly, senses heightened. Something wasn't right. "Thrax, are you on watch?" he whispered, nudging the Marine beside him. Thrax opened his eyes, confusion crossing his face. "Yeah, but I thought I heard something." "Stay alert," Alex said, scanning the darkness beyond the firelight. "I'll check the perimeter." As he crept quietly through the trees, Alex's instincts kicked in again. The forest was alive with sounds, but one stood out, a low, menacing growl echoing from a nearby thicket. He crouched low, his heart racing as he strained to see what was lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the underbrush, and Alex's breath caught in his throat. It was a large, armored alien creature, unlike anything he had ever seen. Its skin shimmered in the faint light, reflecting shades of blue and green, and its eyes glowed ominously in the darkness. It moved with a predatory grace, stalking silently through the underbrush. Alex quickly retreated back to the camp, urgency fueling his steps. "Everyone up. We have a problem," he shouted, his voice cutting through the stillness. The Marines scrambled to their feet, weapons drawn. "What's going on?" Tira asked, eyes wide with fear. "There's an alien creature out there," Alex said, his tone serious. "It's not friendly, and it's close." Before they could react, the creature lunged from the shadows, its claws gleaming in the firelight. Alex and the Marines opened fire, bullets zipping through the air. But the creature was quick, dodging and weaving with incredible agility. "Stay focused," Alex shouted, trying to coordinate their efforts. "Aim for the legs." The Marines fired in unison, but the creature was relentless, rushing towards them with terrifying speed. It managed to close the distance in seconds, its claws striking out with deadly precision. One of the Marines' corps stumbled back, a deep gash torn into his side. "Get back," Alex yelled, rushing to Kor's side. Tira and Thrax covered them, firing at the creature as it circled around, looking for another opening. Kor grunted in pain but fought to stay conscious. "I can still fight," he insisted, gritting his teeth. "Not like this," Alex shouted, applying pressure to the wound. "We need to fall back. Everyone regroup." The Marines hesitated, torn between the desire to protect their comrade and the instinct to survive. Alex knew they couldn't afford to lose anyone. "We're not leaving anyone behind. We fight together." With newfound determination, the squad positioned themselves around Kor, forming a protective barrier. The creature lunged again, but this time, they were ready. They opened fire, their shots ringing out in the night, echoing through the trees. "Fire in sync," Tira shouted, and the Marines followed her lead. Their shots found their mark, and the creature staggered back, momentarily stunned. "Now's our chance," Alex urged, dragging Kor back as the squad pressed forward. They maintained their focus, moving as a unit to corner the creature. With one final push, they closed the gap. Alex aimed carefully, his heart pounding. On 3. 1, 2, 3. They fired in unison, their combined strength overwhelming the creature. It let out a deafening roar, collapsing to the ground, defeated. The silence that followed was deafening as the squad caught their breath, the adrenaline still coursing through their veins. Core lay on the ground, blood seeping through Alex's hands. "We need to get him stabilized," Tira shouted, her eyes wide with fear. "I've got the med kit," Thrax said, rushing to Core's side. He quickly began tending to the wound, working with precision even as he glanced nervously at the fallen creature. As Core's condition stabilized, the team began to regroup. They shared relieved looks, but the reality of the situation weighed heavily on them. They had faced their first true enemy, and it had been a close call. "Is everyone all right?" Alex asked, looking around. The Marines nodded, though their faces were pale and shaken. "We need to stay alert," he continued. "This won't be the last threat we face. We need to work together, rely on each other. Our strength lies in our unity." The squad agreed, their resolve hardening. They had come to understand that together they could overcome any challenge. As dawn broke over Archon 7, painting the sky in brilliant colors, they prepared for whatever lay ahead. Little did they know, the greatest trials were yet to come, testing their bond and pushing them to their limits in ways they could never have imagined. The final stand. With the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon, Alex and the alien Marines gathered around the campfire, nursing their wounds and contemplating their next steps. The air was thick with tension as they processed the events of the previous night, where they had faced a deadly predator and survived against all odds. "Everyone did well," Alex said, breaking the silence. "But we can't let our guard down. We need to move and find a safer location. We've learned that Archon 7 is full of dangers." Core, bandaged and recovering, nodded slowly. "I'll be fine to move. Just give me a moment." His voice was steady, but his face betrayed the pain he was feeling. The squad had come to respect his tenacity, and they could see that he was determined to push through. "Let's make sure we stay together," Tira added, her eyes scanning the trees for any signs of danger. "We don't know what else is out there." With their gear packed and their spirits lifted by their recent victory, the team set out, moving carefully through the dense underbrush. The forest seemed alive, its sounds a mix of eerie calls and rustling leaves. Each step felt heavier than the last as they navigated through the unfamiliar terrain. As they ventured deeper into the forest, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Every crack of a branch, every whisper of wind felt like a warning. He turned to Thrax, who was walking next to him, and said, "Keep your eyes open. I have a bad feeling about this place." "I feel it too," Thrax replied, his eyes scanning the trees. "But we can't let fear control us. We've faced worse." Suddenly, a loud roar shattered the morning air, echoing through the forest. The ground trembled beneath them as they all froze, instinctively reaching for their weapons. The roar was followed by the sound of heavy footsteps approaching, quickening their heartbeats.